You're running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good afternoon, everybody. Quasar Markets Live here in Kaboom Kaboom. Todd HORWITZ, Bubba Trading. What's going on, Bubba?
What's up, Big Beat? How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Listen, I have been saying that buy the volatility because I feel like I'm on the Price is Right and the guy's going up and up the mountain and it's about to fall over the cliff. And yet we make new highs. Yet we keep pushing up. Am I wrong? What's going on in the market? Where's all this money coming from?
Well, I think, first of all, I think you're right to want to buy volatility, right? Typically, if you want to sell it right now, we want to buy it because it's very inexpensive. But the money is coming from the lack of participation in the markets. If you look at the volume is virtually non-existent. So we know one thing for sure. In history, markets have gone up 8.5% year over year. The IRA money, the 401k money flows in every day. So with the lack of participation, the markets continue to decline. Now, I think if you look at today, it was kind of interesting. Right, the markets were charging new highs in the NASDAQ, new highs in the S&P. Russell was flying higher, Dow was flying higher, but the VIX was actually flat when the markets were screaming higher, which is not consistent with where the VIX should have been. And of course, I made note of that, and from that point on, the markets will up. In fact, the Russell actually closed lower on the day, having a little bit of reversal. But I think the play here is to be long volatility, especially going into earnings, because either way, there should be some sort of a pullback. We're at extremely overbought conditions. Whether we're going up or going down, there should be a pullback and an opportunity to make some money on the short side here.
Yeah, I'm going to put that up there now. Bubba says go long volatility. I don't disagree with that at all. I'm with you on that one. Swinging for the fences, President gets his big, beautiful bill, and he also gets the genius bill as well for crypto, allowing those old people to be able to buy crypto in their 401k plans. Is this going to affect the markets at all?
I think it'll help the markets a little bit. I mean, we saw pretty good moves in Bitcoin. You got up to 124,000. A little bit of a pullback today after being higher. But again, I think crypto is the answer. I think crypto is the word. And look, let's face it. If you're center in politics, if you're more of a libertarian type, you're a big fan of crypto because it's not controlled by a central bank. Okay, You know, all this BS that's going on with the central banking system right now. You know, they're not truly independent. All they're supposed to be, and they're a private corporation. They don't represent Americans as a private corporation. There's no business to cut rates right now. Yet, you know, obviously President Trump wants them, which he's wrong, and the Fed doesn't want to do it. But I think that the Fed is a joke, and I think that you would like crypto because of the free market world that trades 24/7.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I've never seen a Fed that's been so arrogant in holding back. And the president name calling, and Scott Bessent now saying, "Well, I spoke to the president. President, I brought him back down to earth. We don't want to do the mess up the Fed over there." President saying, "I want to clean house." Now Scott Bessent says he wants to rearrange the Fed. And yet we're still not seeing it. If this was normal times, the markets would be like, "What the heck," right? But it's not normal times.
No, we're in a very quiet market, so the markets will do what they do. We saw last week there was a chance that they were going to fire Paul or whatever, and the markets tanked, came right back. Look, at the end of the day, right now, the markets still want to go higher. Okay, I can give you all the cases in the world to look for a pullback, and we'll probably have one. But overall, there's not enough market participants right now. There's not enough money flowing into this market. There's not enough daily volume to get excited. I like to call it speed, Steve. There's no speed in this market right now. There's no fear. There's no panic. There's nothing. It just drifts every day. We drift higher.
And, you know, when you see that, I mean, in the old days, I mean, here we go back. You and I have done this a long time. We used to call this the summer doldrums. Is this the summer doldrums? Are we really beating the drums here, trying to get some wind here somewhere? Are we trying to say, hey, look, but yet it just seems that people just are ignoring the news. They're ignoring what's going on and just buying anyway and buying dips.
Well, I do think that is all correct. You have not said anything wrong. I do think it is a summer doldrums. Okay. But I also think that, remember, I think we're in I don't want to say new market. That's the wrong word. But for the last 6 to 8 months, volume has been off dramatically. Okay.
Yeah.
If you go back in history and look, volume has been coming down always. So not only are we slow, we are in the middle of summer. We are just starting earnings season once again. We got a lot of big earnings. This is a big week. Tesla, Google, among others. And of course, Apple, Amazon, Meta next week. So it's a big couple of weeks here. The lack of participation is a concern. We could see the markets fly either direction. But you and I both know that dull markets go higher, and you couldn't get much duller than they are right now.
Yeah. I've been asked a couple times what my thoughts were about this earnings season. And I said, look, it doesn't matter what the earnings are, good or bad. To me, it all matters that one thing, and that's guidance. Because I think the consumer confidence is just struggling right now. And to give you another more macro feel to this, Japan just ousted their liberal leader, and the more conservative right party, younger party in Japan just kicked out their liberal prime minister. Is this a worldwide phenomenon that's going on here?
Well, we've watched that in Argentina. We've watched it here. We've watched it many other places. So I think that people are finally getting tired of the excessive spending. Now, again, Trump is spending too. So let's not say that he doesn't spend. But I think we're tired of the excessive spending plus the excessive taxes that we're responsible for, and the lack of real true leadership. And I think that they're looking for a change. Is it going to work? I hope so. I would rather see, look, liberally, do whatever you want. I don't really care. But fiscally, from a government standpoint, I want fiscal responsibility. I don't want spending. And I'm not worried about for me or you. I'm worried about for my kids, for my grandchildren. Because for me, it doesn't going to make a difference, whatever happens from now. But they cannot keep kicking the can down the road and overspending the money. And I think people are getting finally concerned with that. And I think you are seeing some changes around the globe.
Yeah, and when you look at what's going on with the president, he's saying to the American people, have faith in me, give me some time, and he did that all, and eventually the Financial Times called it the taco trade. But he did put his foot down this time around, and I think he's good. I think he means it. August 1st, is this the end of it? Is tariffs going on?
I don't know. Again, we've seen this movie before. I don't know that he's going to put his foot down here. I think, listen, he's got his first 6 months in office. It was a pretty good report for the first 6 months. Okay. Whether you like him or not, the report's pretty good. I think that he's still a little bit weak because I think he still likes the way that he's judged. Okay. And if he drops the hammer, which I believe he should, if he drops the hammer and the markets collapse, it's not going to bode well for him. So I think that he's got that in mind as well as everything else when he's speaking. So a lot of times he double talks what he's actually going to do. I think he'd like to put him in, but I also think he doesn't want a free fall in the market because he did.
All right, well then give me the actual answer. What is Todd HORWITZ? What is your answer? Is he going to capitulate on August 1st? Is he going to make a change of move?
I think he capitulates on August 1st like he did on July 1st and like he's done in the past. I think he could. I don't think we have an answer on August 1st.
Well, I think you're right because I think the markets think that too, right? They think that he's going to capitulate and tariffs are not going to be on, and the market's treating them that way. Okay, what happens if he actually does? If he does stick to August 1st, will the markets pull back?
I think the markets will pull back pretty dramatically because here's the big problem. When you're trading in very thin markets with no volume and and some of the bigger funds all of a sudden get a little bit nervous, that's going to bring some heavy volume and there's nobody to stop them on the way down. So you could see, if you go back, remember, we go back to April, 2 Mondays in a row, you had over 1,000 points down in the NASDAQ back to back. You could see that in a heartbeat. If this announcement comes through, you could see 1,000 point drop in the NASDAQ on air because there's nobody in the way. This is the problem when you're trading in a very slow market, which is when I was on the trading floor, I was on the golf course during these periods because there's no stopping it in either direction. If it decides to go down, the volume isn't going to suddenly generate. The sellers are going to come in, and then the panic's going to come in, but yet that'll be on light volume the first time down.
And would you say trailing stops probably the way to go here with some of the if you're an investor long term?
Yes, I would. I do like the trailing stop idea. I also like to be hedged. I mean, again, I don't ever get out of my long-term stuff because I'm always hedged. And I look forward to those big down days because I get to buy more stock that's counted into the hedging model that we use. But I think if you're just straight trading them or whatever, I think trailing stops are a good answer, a good way to trade them. But I think just be careful of one thing, right? Because if you're trading equities and using a trailing stop, they're closed between 4 Eastern or night, but they don't count at night,
Right.
and 9:30 in the morning Eastern. A lot can change. So you got to make sure you look at those trailing stops every morning before you let them go through.
Yeah, lots. We just talked about a second ago. Earnings season. Is there something that you want to hear, see, a company you're interested in, to hearing their earnings? Anything out there that you're looking for this week?
No, I'm actually thinking that there's going to be some disappointment myself. I think we've overcompensated and overreacted to what is out there. I don't think the economy is in good shape. I believe that the leading economic indicators today showed that we're not in very good shape, although the economists keep saying no. I believe we're in a recession. That's my opinion. I'll stick to it. Again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean the markets are going to go down right now. But I think the banks are in trouble, even though they came out Friday and said they're in good shape. I think that's a bunch of BS, okay? Because if we remember in 2008, Paulson came out on Face the Nation and said the banks are safe and sound. I think the banks are over leveraged. I think the companies are feeding us a line of bullshit. And I think that's the problem. And again, I would expect this to be a disappointment. And again, I'm not looking for a collapse in the markets, but I think that earnings will be a disappointment. And going into the end of third and fourth quarter could be interesting.
Yeah, and you talk about the banks. I mean, this is these new bills coming out with the fintech, and you and I saw this. This is why we're building Quasar Markets. That the world of banking is really hurting right now in fintech, especially in the banking side of things. The new type of fintech that we're working on is doing very well, right? This is the new world that we live in. But when I look, I was asked this today, what's the best sector right now that's been most beaten up? And I've been saying healthcare. Do you agree with that?
I do. I can agree with healthcare. And again, from being on Medicare, I see no reason that healthcare shouldn't be zooming higher, because the doctors, I mean, this is a whole scam fraud kind of deal on both sides of the equation, the insurance companies and the doctors, right? You need something done. They can only do one thing at a time. You got to go back. So I think the insurance companies are going to do very well in this, and health insurance in its own. And plus, there's some talk of raising some premiums because I think Obamacare was not very good in general. I think that it could have it could have been a lot better. And I'm surprised that the current president hasn't changed it and made it a little better, because there's better ways to insure American people, especially those that can't afford it as well.
Couldn't agree more on that one. Listen, I appreciate Bubba. BubbaTrading.com. Go to the site. Check him out. He's going to help you. And he told you that the volatility is going to go higher. He's got lots of strategies around that. I've known Bubba a very long time, and I can tell you those strategies actually work. So those of you out there right now, BubbaTrading.com, go hit the website up. Go give him a like on Twitter, and look him up on LinkedIn, and he'll talk to you. I know he will. He'll say hello, and he'll give you his opinions. Bubba, I'll see you next week, my man.
Thanks, Big Beat. Appreciate it, brother. Have a great week.
You too.